Welcome everyone to the 21st episode of TXK Conversations as part of the TXK State of Mind podcast. Tonight, we have a very special guest for me anyway, because I know this guy for so many years. We have shared so many relationships, so many important times. But tonight, we're going to take and tap into our ready roots for tonight, because that spans across our great community. We're going to engage in a candid conversation with Dr. Stanley K. Ellis. Although not a native of Texarkana, I wanted to expose our community to this transformational leader so our citizens will have an introductory greeting to a rising leader in the areas of education and mentorship, someone we all need to know and that we can benefit from. Stanley is the founder and leader of SEAL Educational Consulting. He's a graduate of Henderson State University, where he earned his Bachelor of Science in Psychology and Sociology in 1998, a double major. And he also received his Master's of Science in Agency Counseling in 2000. This was followed by the achievement of a doctorate in education in higher ed and leadership at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock in 2011 of December. He's currently an associate professor in the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at the University of Arkansas and Medical Sciences, better known as UAMS, as well as the Director of Evaluation and Assessment for GME. Hailing from the small but great town of Holly Grove, Arkansas, he has become one of the best and rising servant leaders in our region. He's married to Dr. Jessica K. Ellis, also an associate dean of the UMA's College of Nursing, and is the proud, dedicated father of 3 children, Kyron J. Ellis, Kalisa S. Ellis, and young Julian Beaumont Maxwell. TXK SOM, welcome Mr. Stanley K. Ellis to the stage. What's up, my brother?
Hey, with an introduction like that, I feel like I should come out like a boxer or something, right?
You know, I try to bring y'all like Shay Shay bring everybody out. Try to give you a good introduction to everyone. But I want to bring you on because I'm really proud of all the work that you're doing. We started out in small towns. You in Holly Grove, me from Texarkana. We met in Arkadelphia, little Arkadoo. Where we got into one of the best, I would say, if not the number one fraternity there is in Alpha Phi Alpha, as part of the Theta Kappa chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha. So that's where we learned how to be true servant leaders. So I see a lot of the work that you do, how the training that we got from those state meetings, those regional meetings, those national meetings, that you're applying to the work that you're doing with your organization, as well as in the job that you do. So I want to kind of bring you on and let my audience get a understanding of who I get some of the traits I have as I go throughout my daily work, because we spend a lot of time together. But I wanted to introduce them to you and the work that you're doing. Hopefully, if the leaders in Texarkana are listening and they're watching, that they will be able to bring you on and be able to tap into the youth in our schools in the local area so they can benefit from some of the work that you're doing. So I'm gonna stop talking. I want to give you a chance. Just tell us about you, what you've been doing, your background, and tell us about SEAL and its evolution.
Okay. Well, hey, first of all, I appreciate you bringing me onto the podcast, LB. And I'll tell people, first of all, I'll say that for you, those of you who don't know, Jeremy probably started this podcast because, as you can see, he likes to talk. And I'll go ahead and be real honest about it. When we were in college, Jeremy was my conscience. And so right. I appreciate him for being my conscience. And even as I got older, I would think about what would my line brother say about doing this. And so
right.
So that thank you for keeping me out of trouble, even when you didn't know you were keeping me out of trouble. But I will agree with you that, you know, I came from a small town of Holly Grove, Arkansas, and you came from Texarkana. And I you know, you said that's a small town, but for me, Texarkana was a big city. And we met in Arkadelphia, Arkansas, attending the great Henderson State University. And when we pledged the greatest fraternity in the world, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, you're right. That's where we learned to be servant leaders. Right. That's where we learn to serve first, and being a servant is definitely a part of leadership. And so that's what we learned, being alphas, and the things that we did in the community, specifically I've noted most recently that one of the things that we did a lot of was going to the schools in Arkadelphia and examining our go to high school, go to college program. And when we did that, I fell in love with doing that, right? And I never knew that would lead to, or that would be what I consider my purpose in life, or to be my plight in life. And so, I got my psychology and sociology degree from Henderson State, and being a frat boy, I graduated, and I said to myself, I'm having such a great time here at Henderson State. How can I stay here legitimately for a longer period of time? And so I got my master's degree, and I tell people, I said, well, I probably stayed for the wrong reason, but it was part of a plan. And so I got my master's degree and learned how to work with youth and individuals on a counseling level. And then my first job out of college was at a historically Black college and university as a career counselor at Philander Smith College. Right. And the program was Student Support Services, a TRIO program. And the TRIO program at Philander Smith, the work that I did there, it was so inspiring to me to work with students who were first generation, like myself, low income, like myself, and then also students who had disabilities. And coming from the small town of Holly Grove, a lot of people don't know, my mother only had a 6th grade education, but she was extremely articulate, always money conscious, and she instilled in me that you're going to college one way or the other. And so that's what I ended up doing. And what I've come to find out or realize back then is I always knew I was going to college, and I was going to college so I could get out and get a good job. And I'll probably end up talking about this later, but that's all I knew, right? That's all I knew. Go to college, get a good job, right? And so, and there's that's a great part of it, but there are so many other things in life other than just going to college and just working to get a job. And that's what we do now in SEAL, is teach our students about the possibilities of life. Anything you can dream of, you can conceive it, right? Anything you dream of, you can conceive it. And so even after working at Philander Smith College, I still have students to this very day who were my students then, who still contact me, who reach out to me, that I work with, that I mentor, that I stay in contact with now. And I'm proud of those relationships, because any student who's ever been in one of my classes or come to my office for counseling or one of my workshops, even to this day, I tell them, once you come into contact with me, you've been my student. You're always my student. And my goal in life is to be sitting at home and look at the TV and see your name in lights. And I want to be able to say, that's my student. Right. That's my payment right there. And I've done that. And that continues to happen. And like Jeremy, I like to talk. And I'll tell you this one story. I got my job at UAMS, and I was walking through the halls one day, and she won't mind me calling her name, but Jamesia Ford. And Jamesia was one of my students at Philander's in Student Support Services. And she was, and we saw each other and we hugged, and we were so excited to see each other because she's an adult now, has a great job or whatever when I saw her. And as she was walking away, I heard her tell this guy that she was talking to, her coworker, said, that guy, he really helped me when I was in school because he paid my bills so I could continue to stay in school. And that was part of my job, was to do that. But to be able to do that and to have someone to remember how you helped them, and now they're here. They're no longer a student. They're a professional. They're out in the world doing great things. There is no better feeling in the world than that.
Yeah, let me, because I'm listening to you, because I know we started out in this state, like you said, we did the go to high school, go to college, Project Alpha. But the work that you're doing, just looking at it, it comes from a more deeper place where you're showing like a level of passion for the type of work that you do. So as you were growing up in Holly Grove, who were some of the people? You talked about your mom. I always call you my brother from another mother with the same name because they're both named Minnie. Right. Who are some of the people in your community that kind of planted that seed in you? Because SEAL, the work that you're doing, yes, Alpha allowed to sprout, but it was planted somewhere before. So who were some of the people, some of the program back in Holly Grove that impacted you to say, hey, this is what I want to be able to do and impart to youth that I encounter on a daily basis now.
Right. And so, to be quite honest, man, I would have to say, I guess I'll do a funnel approach. I'll start with the biggest part. I think it's the entire Holly Grove community, right? Shout out to Holly Grove. Hopefully they're listening, but I think it's the entire Holly Grove community, right? And then I'll go on further to say, I also think about, people like Harry Jean Mayo. And he was my principal at one point in time. And I remember he walked into a classroom one day and, we were in class and I was acting up and my classmates were acting up. And the principal walks in and he says to the students, you all are in here laughing and joking with Ellis. But the thing about Ellis is he's going to get his work done. Right. Which was the truth. And for me, that was like, okay, somebody's watching me. I might not be doing, but and he's kind of saying to me, hey, you need to stop, but the rest of y'all, you need to get your work. And that's kind of what, they let you know that people are paying attention to you. I think that another person is my cousin Ella Nunn. And I have the utmost and greatest respect for my cousin Ella, because she would take me to school every day. She'd come by my mom's house because we didn't have a car. And she would pick me up and take me to school every day. But the other part about it is that she made sure that every play we had at church, I had a speaking part. And this was back when, you couldn't read off the paper.
Right, you had to memorize it.
You had to memorize the speeches. And I always say this, cousin Ella had me play Jesus so much, I just know I'm going to heaven. I'm serious. She had me playing Jesus every Easter. I had the cross strapped to my back. She had me playing Jesus every Easter and every other play and every other speaking engagement. She had me there. She had me at, and she didn't even attend my church. So when she had stuff going on in her church, then I had to go over there. And then so we had plays at school, and my English teacher, Mr. Abrams, he had me in plays. So that's why I say the entire community. And whatever was going on in school was reinforced when I got home. My mother made sure that it was reinforced. So, it's just a multitude, man. I held all of my teachers. And I had a teacher who recently passed this year, Miss Naomi Jean Dawes. And she helped foster my love for reading, right? My favorite book in the world, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. A Tale of Two Cities. And she helped me and my classmates to appreciate the literature. And so, the more you read, the thought is that the better you'll speak and the better you'll be able to write. And so now, it's and people don't believe this when I tell them I'm an introvert. I am totally an introvert, but nobody believes it. But because of this upbringing and always being pushed to the forefront, this is just who I am. I'm comfortable in spaces where I have to be verbose, so I have to engage with other individuals on a regular basis. But when the doors are closed, I want to be by myself.
So how do you go about imparting that into the youth that you're serving? Because we talked about earlier how when we were growing up, college was a thing. We knew we were going to go to college. We were in programs like Trio. I was in talent search through the community college here in Texarkana. I did all of those different programs. I was in different things through the church and things like that to get me involved or groomed, so to speak, to be able to go out into the world and be able to make a life and be able to be a good citizen and contribute to the overall good of where I'm going to be living. Hopefully we're in Texarkana or wherever we're going to go. But today, things are a little bit different because even though we had a lot of things that we were going through in the 90s, it's been heightened to the 10th power for the youth that we're seeing right now. So how are you imparting some of what you were groomed to do or trained to do or that was put into you to these students? Because I watch you on some of your videos and I watch you in some of the action shots that when you're at your events and you're out there, you're talking with these youth and they're engaged. So what's your approach to get them engaged when that teacher in class may have a hard or difficult time with keeping them engaged and on track?
And that's a great question. So here's my answer to that. And this is what I try to tell superintendents or program administrators when I talk to them, when I try to explain to them why our program works, is because students are going to school every day and they've been going to school forever. And we tell them, you got to know math, you got to know science, you got to be able to read, all these gotta. And students are different from us today because we probably didn't ask a lot of questions. We just did it. And so now our students today are more inquisitive. Why? And I think where the gap is that we don't explain to them why. And when we do explain it, we think that the explanation that we give covers every student that hears our voice. So when we talk to the students, we're not talking about everybody else. The very first day we have our workshops, the very first day, the students leave with a written plan for their life. Right. It's their plan. It's what they want out of life. It's not what Stanley wants for them. It's what they want for themselves. If you say you want to be an NFL player, fine. Put down NFL player. Because so many times we say to students, well, only 5% or 1%. Well, they may be that 1%. I don't know. Yeah. That's not for me to say. But here's the other part about it. We also know that a lot of the entertainers and the athletes, we also know that sometimes they leave their professions and they leave with no money, right? And so what we also say to them is, okay, that's your plan A. What's your other plan A? Right. I didn't say plan B. Because where we fail is we say to kids, what's your plan B? Well, you just told them that they plan A might not work. Yeah. So you just put doubt in their mind. If nobody ever told me I might not be able to dunk a basketball, I might have been able to dunk a basketball.
Right. That's right. They stunted your growth by saying those things. Right?
At 5'8". Yeah. Audience, I might look tall on this screen. I'm only 5'8", maybe 5'7" 3/4. But when you put that doubt into their minds, now they're like, oh, I might not make it. But if you never put that doubt, so we ask them, what's your second plan A? Not two plan A's, you can have them because we all have more in us than just one thing. And so this is what we communicate to the students. So what we do is we do a job of selling hope, because so many of our kids today, because of society, because of social media, because of bullying, because of all these deleterious things that are in their lives, they don't necessarily have the hope. Right. And so we sell them hope that you can do whatever you want to do in life. 20 years ago, we only thought that people who went to the moon worked for NASA.
Right. Now they're working for everybody.
Now we got Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, they all going to the moon. Yep. So why are we going to tell them you can't do X, Y, and Z? And so when the kids understand that we are not putting limitations on them, and whatever you say you want to do, we, Seal Educational Consulting, is going to champion that. And you need to write that plan down. Because if you say you got a plan for your life, because this is what we ask. We ask everybody in the group. Everybody stand up. Everybody in the whole room. Stand up. And a lot of times in the back of the room, they'll stand up too, the adults. And we said, now everybody who has a plan for their life, stand up. So everybody stand up because everybody got a plan for their life, right? Right. Then we say, okay, if your plan's not written down on paper, sit down. Out of 100 people in the room, including the adults, you got 3 people or 5 people who are still standing. So you got 90-some people in a room with no written plan. Well, why has no one ever told these kids that you need to write your plan down? Right. You're not going to leave Arkansas and go to California without a what?
Plan. You got to have a
roadmap. You got navigation. You got navigation, but that's still a plan.
Sometimes when they go out, you got to be able to figure out how to get there.
So like I said, day one, they leave with a written plan. They know where they're going. They know what things they need to do to get there. And we tell them the main thing that you probably need to do is change some behaviors. Right. Change some behaviors. And you would not believe how honest the students are when we say change some behaviors, and we have them to tell us what are some of the behaviors you're going to change. They like, I need to stop talking back to my teachers. Yes, you do.
Yep.
I need to study more. Yes, you do. I need to, and then we give them, we give them some advisement, like, you want to be a nail tech, you need to watch some YouTube videos on how to do nails.
Right.
Why are you watching this other stuff on who cares about what Cardi B did? Who cares about the Jonas Brothers or whoever else, or Taylor Swift? Who cares about these people? They've made their money.
Mm-hmm.
So we explain to them everything. Once you write this plan down, everything that you do needs to be focused on that plan. That's how you become successful. You gotta want it so bad that you want it as much as you want to breathe.
And I think that's a lot of things that a lot of the youth are missing right now, because they don't write down plans. I do a lot of that with the veterans that I work with, about them getting out and them not going to something like you said, a plan B, but transition to that next step in their life. Because you have a lot of transferable skills that you picked up along the way. How are you going to apply that so you can move to the step where you want to go and make that amount of money you want to be in, the type of career you want? So as I think about these youth, and I think about SEAL in its essence, we talked about that you're selling them hope, or you're instilling hope in them. You talk to them about their behavior, how that can impact the direction that they go. So as you think about SEAL, when you first thought about it in its first inception, what are some of the key pillars that you wanted to be able to put into play to be able to impact the population that you're serving right now and that you will serve in the future?
I think when I started out, I was focused on, because I was a career services person or career services advisor, and so I was using the knowledge and information that I had there to teach students how to be more professional, how to behave more professionally. Even, I think we did professional resume writing for some time for adults and things of that nature. But we were teaching students different skills, even how to interview and things of that nature. And so, it's always been about helping these young people to be better, because I started out with the thought that youth are learning everything earlier in life. Why not teach them how to be professionals earlier in life?
Right.
They're learning all the things that they probably should not be learning in life super early, 4, 5, 6. So why won't we start teaching them earlier how to be better professionals? And so I think that's where it started, right? And so as I've gained more experience and more knowledge in the things that we do now, then I share it with those students or in the workshops. So I develop workshops based on that. And I know you asked the question, how do we get through to the youth? And then I'll tell you, we have a specific process. Right. And so it's called the MIE effect. The M is for motivation, the I is for inspiration, and the E is for empowerment. And so a lot of times people think that you can motivate someone. You can't motivate anyone.
Right.
You can't, because motivation is something that is intrinsic. And so what we do is we help students to identify what their motivation is. And that motivation is why do you even want success? I don't ever want to be hungry again. Right. I don't ever want to be broke. I want to buy my mama a house. I want to take care of my little brother and sister. I want to be able to give to the world, or give back to the world, or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? So these are the things so we get them. So that's the first thing, is to identify, or get them to identify, what's your motivation? Why do you want to even have a different and better life? Right. So once we identify that, then we inspire them. And so the inspiration is getting them excited about their goal. You can do it. Yes, I don't care what they say. I understand that's your mother and your father. I'm not disrespecting them. Here's what I think, though. Right? Here's what I think, though. That's a fine line, because students come in with certain ideas that have been instilled in them by either parents and or school administrators or church individuals, or just people that they know. And for specific example, I had a young lady who lived an alternative lifestyle, right? She was a member of the LGBT community. Parents didn't like that, and people might not like me saying this. And so they really didn't care for that, and told her she really wasn't going to be anything. I was like, look, I understand these are your parents. you know, and my voice changes because we're really animated and we do a lot of fun stuff in our workshops. They don't know that they're learning, but they're learning. And so it just told us, like, look, it doesn't matter what your lifestyle is. You're still a person. You still have skills. You still have goals. You have dreams. You stated them right here. You can do it. And here's how. And so I walked her through the steps, right? These are the things you need to do. You have value. It doesn't matter. You could be green, purple, orange. You a human being. You got a heart. What? It doesn't matter. And then once again, guess what? You one of my students. I take personal pride in you going out and getting what you want out of life. So we get them fired up about what they want out of life. We get them fired up. They get excited about it, as they should. It's their goal. And then we explain to them. Well, I'll go into the next step. So then we empower them.
Right.
We not only do we empower them, we help them empower themselves. Because the way we define empowerment is number one, you have to authorize yourself to be great first.
Right.
That's you empowering yourself. But we also give them the tools so they can go and do what they need to do, whether it be the resources, whether it's helping you identify who is going to be your mentor, because that's a big thing for us. Who's going to be your mentor? And we get them to write down 3 different people's names, right? 3 people's names. You got to identify these people by name. You can't just say my coach, my pastor, and we tell them, don't even count your parents because they should already be on the list, right?
Right.
They should already be on the list. And so we get them to identify 3 people who can help them to achieve the goals they want. So now we've got them, we've motivated them, we've inspired them, we've empowered them. But before they leave, we help them to understand your inspiration is not going to always be there. Because that's the excitement. When things get hard, that's going to go away. That's why you need your plan to keep you on track. But you have to motivate, inspire, and empower yourself to achieve the success that you want and deserve out of life.
That's right, man.
So all these things.
Because I'm looking at everything that I do. I started out in education as well, working in local school district, worked at Henderson as well while we were there. And as I see students, I get a lot of the young veterans that come through. They probably left high school, went straight to the military. For some reason, they may have got injured. Now they're trying to reinvent themselves and go back out in society and be able to be productive citizens. And I see a program like this, and I think about how that can really impact them as they're transitioning out into the world, being able to be motivated because they've been such in this confined system of this is what you got to do, this is what you have to do, this is what you need to do. Now they're having to think about what goals do I have for myself? How do I accomplish those things? And I think the pillars that you have that you talked about being able to motivate, empower them, and instill hope in them, I think that's something as well that can really gonna tie into our youth. And I think about our community in Texarkana. We have some really great institutions at the higher education level. We have 4 really good high schools in the area. One of our brothers is the superintendent over in the Texarkana, Arkansas side. We have principals in there, and the youth that are in those institutions will benefit from this. So my goal in bringing you on, I know one of the people had a comment. Thank you for bringing Dr. Ellis on today to have this conversation. I'm looking forward to more conversations about what he does. Just by you being on here, it's sparking the interest in this area of what you're doing. Is so when you think about SEAL, you started out with a level of what you want it to be. It's evolved to right now when you're motivating youth and getting them prepared with goal planning and figuring out what they want to do with their lives and helping them put that to action. So when you think about SEAL and its evolution, what do you want SEAL to be, say, in the next 4 to 5 years? What's your vision for SEAL Educational Consulting?
My vision is that we expand not just inside the state of Arkansas, but outside the state of Arkansas as well. That we bring our programming, especially our SEAL Success Academy, to certainly any and all youth serving institutions and colleges and universities. Certainly, though, those more impoverished communities where students do have a lack of hope, or they are plagued by things such as depression, food insecurities, gang or drugs, and things of that nature, right? And so, it's just a depressed community that when you wake up in the morning, you don't see anything other than what's around you. And I'll say this very quickly is that, just like when I go to high school, go to college program through Alpha Phi Alpha, I've also come to realize that college is not the only way. I have a classmate from high school right now who didn't go to college. He didn't go with us. He didn't go with some of us. And that guy, and shout out to Tyrus Grayson, I called his name. That guy is doing awesome. And he's a farmer. He's a farmer. And I absolutely love it. Right. And so the thing about that is that with my students, like I said, with my students, my network has grown and developed so vastly that anything that they probably want to do, I have a connection for them. And so that's one of the things that I love about what it is that I do with a student. My students can't tell me I can't help them. They can't tell me that, right? I have literally friends that I'm proud to be associated with that are rocket scientists, entrepreneurs, millionaires, things of that nature, that all you got to do is say to me, hey, Dr. Ellis, this is what I want to do. Okay, are you serious? Because don't go embarrass me now. Because if I call this person and put you in contact with them, don't make me look bad. And then I call them. And so I want to be able to evolve that, right? And I want to expand, and even have some of my students to work with me to do the expansion. So I think that's the evolution that I'm looking for, and certainly to grow my skills and my abilities to be able to do some of these things. Because my ultimate goal is philanthropy, right? Philanthropy. You can do a lot more things. You can be a lot more effective. The more revenue that you have. And so that's my ultimate goal, is philanthropy, to be able to have a foundation where, I can freely give money and resources where they're needed, right? Because if getting rich, getting wealthy, and we teach this to our students in our workshops also, because we do a lot of character development, because we can teach them how to get their goals. But if you're not sharing your success with anybody, what's the purpose of it? And we have these conversations, right? These are real live conversations we have with these students, right? We get them to identify what are some character traits that they want to adopt. So if we're working with the students, because a lot of times we focus on bullying, right? Bullying. It's not what we focus on. We focus on developing the student's character that's in front of us. Because when you focus on the problem, you get more of the problem.
Right.
But when you focus on the solution, you really are already solving the problem.
Right, because you're building character, you're building people.
Building character, building people, right? You have no idea how many people we went to school with, that I have come into contact with, that I didn't know I was going to come into contact with. And I'll be like, I'm sure glad I was nice to that person.
Right.
I'm like, right. I remember we went to school with a guy named Chris, always with the Sigmas. He knows who I'm talking to. I walked into the light company building one day, right? I walked into the light company building one day, and I need to get a bill taken care of because they done something wrong or whatever the case may be. And there Chris sits.
I know Chris. I work with Chris.
Yeah. And so Chris is there, right? And I'm like, and Chris took care of everything.
Right.
And I'm like, sure glad I was nice to Chris. And so we explain this to them, that no matter what is right now in school or later, whomever you come into contact with, you'll see these people again. Look around, you'll see them again. So think about whether you want to go to a job interview and walk in and you're like, oh, no, I ain't getting this job. I used to beat up on them and bully them on social media. Or do you want to walk in and be like,
hey, I know you. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think what you're talking about is all about building relationships and teaching them how to build that relationship, but not only just build it, but foster that into something that's going to not only just benefit them, because you never know who are you going to need to help or who's going to need your assistance. And I think the work that you're doing is allowing those youth to do that. I want to kind of backtrack on something that you talked about just a few minutes ago. And you talked about the different people that you connected with. You talked about this gentleman who's a farmer. Doing great things in his profession. So when you're going through and you're talking with them about their goals and the things that they want, I'm sure you often come across that student, whether it's a young lady or a young man, who they're really bright, they're really smart, but their track is not college. So do you talk to them about the different paths that they can go through, whether it be a trade that they can be able to achieve, those different things? Because a lot of times when you're speaking to students, or when I'm speaking to students, we see students, it's always that they want me to go to college. I got to go to college, but I want to do this. So talk a little bit about that, how you help them tap into that if that traditional route is not for them.
Okay. And so, you know, when they say, you know, I just want to make money, like, okay, but you know as well as I do, when you're developing a goal, you have to be specific, right?
Right.
You got to be specific, because the other thing we have students to do is create vision boards, right? And you can't be specific with a vision board if you don't have a vision. So we help them to craft that vision. And so we're like, okay, you want to make money, but what do you like to do? So then we start drilling down. Here's his counseling. Here's his counselor coming out, right? So what do you like to do? And they answer the question, I don't know. Well, okay, so what brings you joy? So we're going down the road, still trying to get to what you like to do. Because 9 times out of 10, you can ask people all day, what do you like to do? Well, I know I don't like. Well, that's not what we ask you.
What do you like?
And adults do that, right? They focus on what they don't like. You know, and so we drill down. And so then when we can get to one thing, then we hone in on that one thing. And so, you know, we definitely talk to them about the trades, because being a real estate investor, I know how much money electricians make, HVAC people make, plumbers make. When I renovate a property, those are my 3 largest bills. Right. That's it right there. And so I talked to them. I was like, you can do that as a job, or you can own the business that does that. Right. And so we talked to them a lot about entrepreneurship, but certainly different trades or whatever the case may be. So, you know, even I would tell them, hey, you could become a garbage person and still be wealthy.
Yeah.
You can still. We talk to them about investing. We even have workshops that talk to them about their personal financing. This is not just we come in and lecture, because none of our workshops are just lecture. Because students get enough of that in the classroom. And that's the other reason why we think what we do is so important, is because what we drill down to, we know the teachers don't have the time to drill down,
right? Because
they have to teach the specific curriculum. But we come in and we do the things, and we make those things where the teachers can connect what's going on in the classroom back to what the students said. Because we always encourage the schools and school districts to make a copy of the students' plans. So when they're stepping out of line, did they, remind them of what they said they wanted. This behavior doesn't line up with what you say you wanted. Because we teach them that you have to start behaving now like the person who you want to be like, or where they are. You have to start acting like that now. So if those behaviors are incongruent, you have a linchpin. You have a point that you can kind of pull on and say, these don't go together.
Right.
These don't go together. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so that's one of the things. I forgot the original question though, but that's one of the things that we do.
No, you touched on it. Okay. And so, and I know I'm not going to keep you much longer, but I want to.
No, go ahead. I'm enjoying it. Go ahead.
We haven't talked in a while, but I want to give you opportunity. If I'm a person or if I'm an organization, because we have some really good organizations in town. I'm thinking of the Scholars. We have a really wonderful program. 2 ladies, they have a program called the Scholars. We have another program that's called We Are Washington. They're really impacting youth, and they often have people like yourself that come in to speak with our youth and do workshops and things of that nature. So if they wanted to connect with you and Seal Education Consulting, how would they go about getting in contact with you to get you into their facilities and their buildings?
They can contact me at Stanley, STANLEY .Ellis, ELLIS at MIE for motivation, inspiration, empowerment, the number 4 success.com.
All right, because I think they'll really benefit from you, man.
Yeah, and I'd love to, like, because like I say, you know, we do workshops where we help, where we train the people who work with the students,
right,
to connect with them better and easier. And we have a specific way that we go about doing that as well, right? You know,
right.
Because I'll tell you a story. I was doing a workshop one time and I left and I was on the elevator and a group of two young ladies got on the elevator with me. And so as we're going down, they asked me a question that stunned me. And I always tell this story. They said, how do you connect with us so well? And I was like, excuse me? And that's like, well, you just kind of seem to understand us. Now, this was about 15, 20 years ago. So at that point in time, I kind of listened to the same music they did.
Right.
I liked some of the same things they liked. So it was easier. But as I evolved and matured, those same things didn't work for my palate. And I still am able to connect with them because I still understand them and I know what it is that they need. And I think it's important that we listen to the students. Just like I said earlier, you can give the answer that you need to learn math because you got to be able to count money. Everybody needs to be able to count money. But okay, I can count money, but how else is that going to help me? And you have to be able to connect that specifically to what that one student wants, because the student next to him, what you told this student is not going to work for this student.
It has to be
individual. So you have to tailor it. You have to tailor it.
Man, you're speaking so much truth. And I think just looking at everything that you're doing, I'm not sure how big your team is, but I can foresee, I see people trying to connect with you to get involved with your vision for SEAL and the passion that you have for the youth and helping them develop. And I know that stems back to when you were growing up, some of the things that you encountered and when we went through college and everything. So if you could tell the audience anything as a final parting note of what the SEAL experience would be, what would you say it would be?
Exciting and fun. The learning is evidently there because we like our title says, we come to implement success. And so when we leave, your students are ready to motivate, inspire, and empower themselves to the success that they want and deserve.
Right. That's wonderful, man. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. This won't be the last time that we speak because I already talked to you about us doing our own show together, a podcast, so we can be able to chop it up, talk, be able to bring on some different guests, maybe bring on some of the people that we kind of encountered as we were coming up. Not only through Henderson, our high school lives, but also through our professional lives that we can kind of talk to and get some of the things that help them be successful. So I'm going to have you back on. We're going to be talking. I want my platform to be able to evolve and transform so that we can be able to impact as many people as possible. Because just within our area, the Texarkana Metro, what you're doing is needed. We have people coming back home that are bringing their talents to be able to impact the school districts. I know you're going to be able to connect with them. So I hope that's going to be your first entryway into our community to start bringing your passion and the programs that you have and being able to let people know what servant leadership is and mentorship and how they can best utilize that to serve the youth in this community. So I really appreciate you as my LB, as my brother, my frat brother, my brother as I call you. For coming on, and that's going to be something that I hope that's going to be an evolving thing where you have different events that you want to come on and highlight. You got this platform to be able to do that. So anytime, just give me a holler, no matter where I am.
Yeah. So and I'll be happy to co-host with you if you promise to let me talk.
Yeah. Hey, I'm in the where I'm like you say you're an introvert. I've been looking for someone I can just produce everything and come on as the color commentator. So So,
hey, whatever you need me to do, just let me know. I'm there for you, my brother. I am there for you. I certainly appreciate this, man, and I would love to come and work with the individuals and organizations and school districts in Texarkana. And I'll say this, people always say, when you think about being successful, what would you do even if you had $1 million and you didn't have to get paid for it? This is what I would do. And I tell the students that I explain to them, I might be getting paid to be here, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here for you. And they internalize that and they believe it because they can feel it. And when you talk about my team primarily you see me, but there are more people behind me because I couldn't do it by myself, especially Dr. Jessica Ellis, my wife. And we've even incorporated Julian into the business. Now he has a job in a role. And there he is right there. So and tell him what I do. Go away, Julian. Right there. But I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the opportunity. And definitely let me know when you want me back on and what you want me to talk about. And we'll roll. And I'll be in Texarkana with bells on when they give me a call.
Yes, sir. We're going to definitely get you connected. So, ladies and gentlemen, this was another great episode of TXK Conversations with Dr. Stanley Ellis. The thing was being able to transcend a passion to serve. So I think we kind of touched on that, and we're going to be able to bring this great gentleman to our community to be able to impact some of our youth. So it's been a great episode. We have some more things coming up. We have one of our spinoffs, Food is Love TXK, that's running right now with two of the local businesses, the food establishment that we went out and interviewed this past week. So that's running right now on our Facebook and YouTube platforms. And then coming up on Friday, I'm going to travel on over to the Lofts at Grimm and speak with the director there, Miss Samantha, about the new energy and life that they're pumping through our downtown area with the revitalization and the reopening of the Grimm Hotel as the Grimm Lofts. So stay tuned for that. We really appreciate you for coming on, all the guests that were on tonight. So as always, what's your TXK state of mind? And we'll see you next week. Thank you.